UK government hosting refugees is again under the radar. A new report says Britain's Home Office has issued a letter asking around 8,000, Afghan refugees staying in hotels at government's expense to find their own accommodation. Well, according to a report published by Sky News, the people who received this letter are Afghan evacuees who came to the UK after the Taliban took over Afghanistan. Earlier reports said that Afghan refugees are to be given a 3-day notice to move out of hotels. Under this new plan, refugees arriving from Afghanistan will not be given hotel accommodation, and whoever turns down an offer of housing will not get a second offer. Well, the UK government says close to £1 million a day is spent just on hotels for Afghan refugees, and Afghans make up a fifth of all people living in refugees' hotels. Well, this is according to the letter seen by Sky News. The Home Office recommends that Afghan refugees accept the allocated property. It also says that no further allocations are to be made post the present offer, and they need to find their own accommodation. Well, unlike in most other nations offering asylum to Afghan refugees, Afghan evacuees in the UK, they can work. That's the big difference. The government has repeatedly said that it is time for them to fully integrate into British society. But many activists are opposing the plan. They claim the new policy will cause anxiety amid refugees who have already experienced trauma. Well, many even claim the plan goes against the UK's pledge after its withdrawal from Afghanistan. At the time, the UK had pledged to resettle up to 20,000 more vulnerable Afghans. Well, to talk further about this, we do have our expert here in London. It's our correspondent, Alex Isat. Alex, a very difficult one because these people run for their lives. They've escaped persecution and now they're coming here to seek some form of safety. It's very difficult, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. But it is to clarify that Sky letter that has been seen by them and a few other newspapers actually is only like the end of this trail, because actually a month ago the government did put out a statement on their website to say that this was going to be happening and that they were looking to try and get those seeking refuge from Kabul out of hotels and into housing. And it did state that if they didn't have the recommended housing, that they would have to look for alternative housing, and the government couldn't help much going forward. But it does seem to be that these are just a number of those that are coming over to the UK that are looking for help from the government, and the government isn't doing much to help them go forward. Of course, a lot of people in the UK themselves who are on many of the council housing waiting lists also are not getting their own housing. There just isn't enough to go around, and the government has said that they have put hundreds of millions of pounds into helping those that come to this country resettle, especially if they're coming from countries where they are under threat. But there is only so much that they're claiming that can be done. And of course we are hearing from the other side those that have come to try and help themselves because they have had threats in the countries that they've escaped from, and they are saying that they feel lost and abandoned here in the UK. But it does seem right at the moment that the government has been steadfast on their determination that if you do come over to the country, then you should be trying to look for a housing and for a job yourself, especially if you can work. But then again, we also hear those that have coming over illegally and they've been setting up in hotels, and that's been costing, as you rightly said, like £1 million a day. So it's not just for those that have come over legally, but also those illegally. But of course, those people who are coming over illegally on small boats in the Channel do still keep coming, and their numbers are reaching higher and higher figures. So those that have come legally and are trying to come through the right ways and right methods, they're also finding that they're not getting as much attention as they need as well. It does seem that this is a never-ending issue for the government that doesn't seem to know what to do with those people who are seeking asylum in the country, or those people who are trying to get through the cost of living. The first story that you had on today, that is also a huge issue as well. The government doesn't have an unending pot of money, and they are trying to figure out ways. At the moment, it does seem that it's the people that are getting affected the most.
Yeah, quite right, Alex. You're right to sort of relate the two topics there. Thank you so much indeed on this very sensitive topic. Alex Izad here in London for us.